Hello everybody, John Fulford here. I hope you're doing well. I'm doing great. Thanks for asking. I'm going to attempt and kick out 5 videos in a row tonight because I have to do a lot of work on my investment properties this coming week. Let's see how it goes. Link in the description to the Discord. Get on our Spotify playlist. We're going to put you on a Spotify playlist so we all get plays. The more plays we get, the more money we get. Link in the description, absolutely free. Join it. Join us, like, share, subscribe, all that stuff. So today's video is about a Facebook post I saw. I can't remember the group. I don't feel like looking it up, but I can give you some good information about the post and how I would react to it. So I hope that's good enough for everybody. I'm sure it is. I hope. So a gentleman in the Facebook group said, actually, I don't know if it's a gentleman, a person said they were getting $500 a queue for 10 queues for a total of $5,000 from a network. A network was going to pay them $500 a queue times 10, $5,000 gross revenue for a set of 10 queues. The catch was they had to pay studio musicians out of that $5,000. We don't know how much. They didn't share how much that bill would come out to. And they were asking the group if that was a fair deal. That's kind of like if you're on the side of a bucket and you're looking down at a bunch of crabs and saying, is this a fair deal if I keep going? Most people are going to say no. And here's why. And then we're going to get to what I would do. But here's why. It takes somebody very, very little energy to type the N-O enter on a keyboard. No. No. It didn't cost that person anything, but it could cost the person asking for the advice $5,000 of revenue. Naturally, according to this person's post, they had to pay the studio musicians, so they weren't going to get all that $5,000, but it was going to be $5,000 split among the musicians, plus maybe some back-end performance royalties. But we won't even count that for purposes of this conversation. That's a big question mark. That's a variable. So let's just assume it's zero right now. I'm not even saying do the work and hope for the best on the back end. We're just dealing with $5,000 right now. Okay, $5,000. $500 a queue for 10 queues with studio musicians. If you take that to Facebook, people, no, that's unconscionable. Those are crabs in the bucket. A lot of people would, love 500 a queue. One guy said it should be 5,000 a queue. You show me a network paying $5,000 a queue, and I'll be first in line. I mean, what are we doing here? Especially in this computer age where, for $600 you get Native Instruments complete and you get a whole orchestra, okay? 5,000 a queue for anyone not named like Hans Zimmer or John Williams or James Newton Howard or somebody like that. That's out of the realm of reasonability, even for purposes of my YouTube video here, okay? And other people on Facebook, some just said no, which fair enough. Other people said that networks shouldn't own music. That networks usually don't own music, that libraries own the music, and networks aren't supposed to own publishing on music. So all those sitcoms and all those shows and things that networks produce, do you know who owns 99% of that music? The network. There's people whose job it is, if not entire departments, that manage the network's in-house publishing assets. So like, for instance, if you're doing business with a TV network and you want them to license your music, you email this person. If you want custom work from a network, whether that be, a little cue here and a cue there, or scoring a full show, a full series, it's that person, it's that department. There's whole departments. Of course, networks own music. Who do you think owns the background music for the shows they put out? They're going to let someone else own it? Now, there are exceptions, of course, like Curb Your Enthusiasm, I believe, is oh, I'm not going to live this down. They took library music. It's a foreign library. I think it's an Italian library with a sub-publishing deal in America that Larry David heard. Listen to this circumstance of how Curb Your Enthusiasm didn't own the music. Larry David was listening to a car commercial on TV and heard a quirky track. He had to get his assistant to look up who did the music because they wanted to hire that person for Curb Your Enthusiasm, or at least use the music for Curb Your Enthusiasm, and it turned out a library was representing that music. So they did a deal with that library to provide the music for Curb Your Enthusiasm. The theme song to Always Sunny in Philadelphia is another great example, okay? But those are a couple of exceptions to the general rule, which is if a network puts out a TV show, the score is usually owned by the network. So I don't know where some people are getting their information from. It's just flat out wrong. And this is a perk of moving to LA and being full-time in the business. So knowing things like that, it's just par for the course. You just know it because you're in it every day, right? So anyway, all these people told this person not to take the deal, not to take the deal. They didn't ask any questions about the deal. So here are my questions for this person. It was an anonymous member on Facebook. Here, am I in focus? I'm going, baby. I don't even care. I hope I'm in focus. This is the old school Florida Marlins hat from like the inaugural. They did like a reissue of these hats, so I had to buy one. So anyway, 1992 inaugural season. Florida Marlins won against the Los Angeles Dodgers in their first ever game at Joe Robbie Stadium. That's the extent of my baseball knowledge. So anyway, here are the questions I want to ask. First, I'm going to scratch my nose. Okay, we're back. First question I would ask. The $5,000 is the maximum they're going to pay. 500 a Q times 10 is 5,000. So we're dealing with 5,000 and we're going down from there, which is not good, but it's how we're going to get a vibe of what's going on. So the most this person could make if he played every instrument, did everything himself, is $5,000. 500 a Q times 10 Qs. How much is he paying for the studio musicians? My opinion is if he could net at least $2,000, so that means $3,000 is going out the door to his people, and he nets $2,000 for his work. He set the deal up, he's hiring people, he's doing the music as well, you know, he's involved in the actual music production. If he can net $2,000, I think he should consider doing the deal for these reasons. Reason number one, he gets $2,000. In this stage of the music business, okay, when Stevie Nicks is selling her publishing, Bruce Springsteen is selling his publishing, David Bowie is selling his publishing, everyone is doing deals. And I don't think this person is anything close to those legendary artists I just mentioned. So that's all the more reason why they should wheel and deal with their music. There's nothing more arrogant than a part-time musician who tells you never sell your publishing. Yeah, it's because they probably make 6 figures a year at their lucrative day gig and they could afford to say that. And that's something that you'll realize when you start meeting more of these musicians at these conferences, like the middle-aged musician who's like just retired and he's doing this for fun. Like instead of gardening, he's doing cues for libraries, which is dope. There's a lot of dope music. I'm not hating on the music. But when they say, never sell your publishing, yes, because they never had to. Okay, but we're trying to be full-time musicians here. Okay, so if someone comes to you with $5,000, try to make the deal work. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. So this person nets $2,000. That means $3,000 is going off into the marketplace. That hires a studio. It hires musicians. You're paying people. So how cool is that? If you get $5,000, you keep at least $2,000 and you're paying out $3,000 to your buddies and stuff. That's awesome. That means $5,000 just flowed from Hollywood to you that you get to wheel and deal with. And again, I'm not talking about the performance royalties. That's all extra icing on the cake, right? I hope he gets a lot, or they get a lot of performance royalties, but we're still assuming that there's none. Also, you get to learn how a network contracts, pays for music, listens to the music, gives notes on the music. A lot of these network executives are really great musicians. They've really set the bar very high for music-based network executives. And if you ever see some of their bands play, like I got invited to some music supervisors have bands. Oh, check out my band. Sure, I go see it and it's amazing. Okay, so you get to learn how they process music, how they listen to the music. There's been times where I thought I was doing the best job, and they said, "Hey man, that thing you put in track 2," I was like, "Yeah, isn't it great?" They're like, "No, that's not going to work. You got to take it out and do the opposite." And then then my placement started going up dramatically. So you learn how they hear the music because they're paying for it, so they're going to be locked in, right? They're going to listen to what you send because they're paying for it, right? Another thing, which can't be overlooked, you get in the system of the network payment system. What does that mean? You're a new vendor to the network, you fill out your forms, you do all this stuff, and you're in the system. So that means if and when, and they might never ever need music from you again, but if they need more music and you're already in the system, that means the in-house admin staff, which are usually attorneys, by the way, so they don't work for cheapo peepo, okay? You're already in the system, it's much easier for them to hire you because it's just a checkbox instead of getting a whole new vendor login and all this stuff. So it puts you in a position to get more gigs. I'll use an example here. So say a production company that's a network is working with a production company to do a show, and you're talking to the music supervisor of the production company, and they have a budget to hire you, or they want to pay you a license to use your music. Oh, I'm already connected with them. I'm already a vendor in good standing. Oh, you are? Oh, well, great. Then it's a different conversation. You're working with them as a peer instead of someone trying to get on with that network. You know what I mean? That can't be discounted at all. Naturally, and I'll say it again, if you can't make at least $2,000 with this deal, then that's not worth it, right? But if you can make $2,000, that is all the more reason why you should do the deal. Another reason is it gives you something to talk about, okay? So if you're at the Taxi Road Rally or the PMC Production Music Conference, I shouldn't have said it like that with that inflection. It's great. I highly recommend both conferences. If you're at the PMC or the Taxi Road Rally and you're meeting with someone, a network executive, a lot of these network executives also go as musicians. So you might hang out with like a cool music person and realize that like they work at a network. Like their day job is a music executive at a network. And you say, yeah, we just finished up 10 cues for this show. I had to hire a couple horn players. The budget was super tight, but we made it happen. Isn't that better than saying, here's my music, here's my demo tape? Demo tape, that's what I used to do. I used to send music that was so awful that the music supervisors to this day won't even say hello to me. That's how bad the music was, because they remember hopefully they don't remember, but I think because of how bad the music was that I sent them when I first started. Awful. Worse than, there was one thing I've heard in all my years of doing YouTube, that was one song that was worse than what I sent in all my years of doing YouTube. And I've listened to a lot of music from people. So that's just telling you where I'm coming from. I'm not some high mighty person, but I learned a lot and I got it written down. Okay. Next thing. Great promotion for people outside of the business. What does that mean? So especially if you're in a small town, okay, or at least Facebook, Instagram, you could say you just did a job for this network. They don't know it was for 5,000. It could be for 500,000. They don't know, right? So you could say, yeah, I just did. It's the same thing I just said in the last point, but not to industry people. This is to the public at large. Oh, we just finished 10 cues for this network. And also, as a last item, like I said, the icing on the cake, the cherry on top, you might be getting some performance royalties out of the deal. You might be. We're going to assume there's zero, but there's a chance, honestly a good chance, right, that these songs are going to get used. All right, that these songs are going to get used in the network's productions, and you're going to start seeing performance royalties coming in. You're going to start seeing how that works. If you haven't seen it already, you could be very experienced. I'm just assuming that you're not as experienced now as you will be after you do this deal if you want to do it. Again, 2,000 is, if it's 1,500, if you net 1,500, I don't know if that's worth it because you have to hire the people. 1,500 net if you're sitting at the house doing stuff on the computer, that's a different story, okay? So there's all these ancillary benefits. If you take one benefit by itself, it doesn't mean that much. Okay, you're a vendor and a network's, okay, that's fine, I guess, that's cool. But if you aggregate all those ancillary benefits, plus you walk away with $2,000 in the music business where a bird in the hand is worth 10 in the bush, I think you should do the deal. If you really want to get a professional opinion on it, I will call your PRO. That's also a good question to ask a PRO. You know, it makes it seem, well, which you're in the game, right? If a network is willing to pay you for music, call it PRO. Ask them if they've seen similar deals in their experience. I think 500 a track sounds good, but I don't know what musicians you have to hire. If you have to hire 6 musicians, I don't think you're going to walk away with $2,000, right? And there's also the fact that you could wheel and deal on the writer share too. Are you going to write all of the pieces yourself? Are you going to co-write it? Like, what's the deal with that? Because some people, especially like the newer cats coming up that aren't on Facebook because Facebook is too old for them, like they're like super young cats, they don't even want performance royalties. They want everything up front and they don't care about performance royalties. And I talked to them about it and they're like kind of, I don't want to say adamant, but they're kind of set that they don't care. Because like I'm saying, there's no guarantee of any performance royalties. There's no guarantee of BMI and ASCAP. You know what I mean? So everyone has their own different, I guess, risk tolerance for the situation. Anonymous person, hit me up privately. I won't say who you are. I mean, maybe I'll use you for a future video, but I won't say your name or the network. Hit me with your questions. Let me know. Like I'm down to give all the advice I can. Again, for the nth time, if you go walk away with $2,000 before taxes, then I think you should seriously consider doing the deal because that's a great feather in your cap. And I don't even know what network it's for, but I know people that have done music for like $125 and like the queue blows up and maybe not 125, maybe like $200, $250 max. I don't know the exact, but it ain't no 500. I think it was 200, but we'll say 250 max. It's not 125. That's my mistake. I'm not editing it out. And the queue just gets used over and over and over and over. They're making thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. And now they could walk in that network's office. They could strut because the network is, they strut in the network. The network's like, oh yeah, that queue you did. Obviously, I'm exaggerating a little bit, but now they're on a first name basis with a lot of the people at the network. And when that person's career grows and the network executive's career grows, they're going to start working together. Like Steven Spielberg and John Williams. You know, like they kind of came up together-ish. And so now like they're in tune with each other. So John Williams gets a lot of the Steven Spielberg gigs. That's a story for another day. You will Google that if you want. So that's it for this rambling video. I'm going to change my hat and do the next video. Join our Discord, free Spotify playlist. I want to put your song on Spotify. You can send it to me in the Discord. The more streams we get, the more we get paid. This is John Fulford, and I'll see you next time.